Hello, my name is Michal and I've been working at Euro24 for 10 years already. Currently, I'm one of the team leaders at our freight forwarding department. And today I would like to invite you to my webinar regarding customs clearances. During this webinar, I'm going to talk about the necessary documentation, types of customs clearances. I will also make some references to the shipments to and from Great Britain because it's one of my main specializations. Some of you might have seen this webinar in Polish. This is the same webinar. However, some of the details might be explained or told differently. However, the scope of this webinar is exactly the same as the one in Polish. So, to begin with, I would like to talk about the required documents to check in. First and crucial one is commercial invoice. If you would like to do any customs clearance, invoice is the main document to have. Also, as in the case of every international transport, we need to have the CMR document, so international document for transport. But let's focus on the invoice itself, and I will briefly tell you what should be included in invoice to get the customs clearance done. First of all, we need to have date and the invoice number. Some of the agents requires it, some not. However, if you personally put all the details in any kind of the customs system, then most likely you will need to provide at least invoice number. Date is not so crucial. However, it should be mentioned on the invoice. Next, very important is the full details of the seller. I mean here by trading name, its address, VAT number, and EORI number. Regarding the EORI number, we'll talk later during this presentation, during this webinar. However, it's to say it briefly, it's an international number that is needed for any international trading between two companies existing in two different countries. So we need full details of the seller, so the trading name, the address, VAT number, EORI number. Also, it is very nice to have the contact person who knows about the cargo being sold. So it's very useful, especially for the agent if they have any additional questions regarding this customs clearance. Also, we need to should have full details of the buyer. So exactly the same details as in the case of the seller. So we should have the full trading name, address, VAT number, and EORI number. So that two bits are very important, and they must be on the invoice. And then we should have the name of the goods and its quantity. So we on the invoice we should have what exactly has been sold or bought, yeah, depending from which perspective you look at the invoice, and its quantity. So whether it's how many pallets it is, how many pieces, bits, simply the quantity of the cargo. Also, the unit price. It's very nice to have the unit price given in a specific currency, obviously, and a total value. So we should have the amount of pieces, the number of pieces, its name, its value by unit price, and the total value. The next thing that is crucial is to have net and gross weight of the goods. In terms of the gross weight, you might find some invoices that will not include the gross weight of the goods. Then obviously we during the customs clearance we just provide the net weight, or it's very nice to ask your customer or the seller about the gross weight. But if there is no gross weight, still customs clearance can be proceeded. But the weight must be included in the invoice. Next one is the origin of the goods. So simply each invoice should include the statement what is the origin of the goods. Sometimes it is the full note. Sometimes it's just a shortcut of the country, but it's also very important for the customs clearances. Also, the delivery terms according to the Incoterms. So I think everybody who at least once tried to do customs clearance knows that Incoterms are crucial to customs clearance. These are three letters shortcuts like FCA, DDP, DAP. So it should be mentioned on the invoice. If not there, for sure the customs agent will ask you what are the Incoterms for this trading. If it's not listed in the invoice, the first thing I would do would be to ask the customer or the seller or buyer on what delivery terms, according to Incoterms, this trading is made. So it's very important. Then we should have the commodity code. It's simply the classification of the cargo. So not only the name of the goods should be provided, but also the commodity code, and it should be presented to the customs agent once applying for customs. And last but not least, sometimes some agents might require translation of the commercial invoice. For example, if you would ship the goods from Great Britain to Poland, I believe Polish agent will ask for the translation of invoice and all the documents that might be added to the invoice. And such document might be, for example, packing lists. That will be the next step. We will talk about this during this webinar, but I will talk about it later. So to sum up briefly, regarding all the aspects that should be provided on the invoice, we should have invoice number, date, full trading name of the seller, full details of the seller, full details of the buyer, and full details of cargo, including quantities, weight, commodity codes, value, and obviously Incoterms should be provided on the invoice. So now let's look at the example of commercial invoice that has been used in one of our recent shipments. So I would say that before, funny story, before we started this clearance, we got the commercial invoice from the customer and it was lacking of the Incoterms. There was no country of origin stated or the EORI number of the shipper. After our comments, the customer provided this one, which we supposed to believe it's very good commercial invoice, nothing to add, everything is clearly stated, so it's very easy to start the customs procedure with this invoice. So we obviously have the ship exporter. They are blurred here due to confidentiality. Then we have the consignee details, country of export, reason for export, country of destination as well. We have the Incoterms, as you can see. Also on the right side, we have the declaration regarding the preparation origin of the goods that is also asked by the customs agent or by their system simply. And then below we have the full description of the cargo, where we have the quantities, either individual, then we have total packages here. We have also the name of the cargo, full description of goods, type of packaging, HS code, so commodity code simply, quantity again, then we have dimensions, individual weights, then total weight below, and then we have the total value of the goods. And very important thing is we need to know in what currency the invoice has been raised. It's also very important, because, for example, if we apply for the customs from Great Britain to Poland, let's say, and the invoice is an, I don't know, Polish currency or euro, then simply the statistical value on the export declaration will be recalculated to pounds. So it is very important to know in which currency the invoice has been made. Also, we have the name of the person who has raised this invoice. We have the date, we have its number. So a very good invoice to start with the customs clearance. So basically, this is all the details that you should look for once applying for customs clearances. Okay, let's go further. So next step, we have some additional documents that might be required, but are not necessary. They are not must-have in terms of customs clearance. So let's start with the parking list. If you look at the presentation, you see that parking list needs to have exactly or provides the same details as invoice. So we either can have invoice plus parking list or just invoice, which also will be totally fine. As you can see, parking list also should have date of issue and number, sender and recipient data, so exactly the same: full trading name, address, EORI number, VAT number. Uh, if parking list is there, there should be a reference to the invoice number it corresponds. Then we have subject of transaction, also net and gross weights. As in the case of the invoice, sometimes gross weight is not provided, which is also fine. Amount of stock, also delivery terms might be stated on the packing list, but it does not have to be. Then we have certificate of origin. So sometimes, except the fact that the origin is stated on the invoice itself, sometimes the customers provides also the certificate origin confirming from where these goods these goods has been made. Also, some additional documents that might be required, that are authorization for the customs agency. So, power of authorization most likely to be found. Different agencies have their different templates to be filled in by either seller or a buyer in order to start the customs clearance. Simply, the agency needs to be authorized to do the customs clearance on behalf of the particular party. Then we should have, it's very important thing is customs agency. So the destination code, especially when you have the transit procedure in place. If you have a T1 document, T2, then you need to have the destination code for the agency that will close the T1 and finalize the import procedure. So it's also widely known as NCTS number, provided either by your customer or with the agent with whom you do the import customs clearance. Additionally, we could have some certificates like veterinary certificates, certificates of origin, pallet fumigation, etc., etc. It depends what kind of cargo you are going to ship and what will be needed for these customs clearances. One last but not least, I would like to talk about the CPC, so the customs procedures. Obviously, I think the majority of the customs we do in our case is the permanent export, permanent import. So the standard CPC of one or one, but also we could have some temporary exports, exhibition goods, rental goods. So it is also stated on the invoice. If not, then the customs agent probably will assume that it is the permanent export, permanent import of the goods. But it is good to know that something like CPC, so the customs procedure in which the goods must be cleared, should be provided on the invoice. If not, it is good to ask the customer in what CPC you would like to clear their goods. Okay, so I think it's all in terms of the documents. So we need to remember that the most and the crucial one is to have the invoice with all the mentioned details on it. Okay, let's go further. We have the types of customs clearances. So here I would like to talk about the three customs clearances that will be transit procedure T1, T2L, so transit procedure most commonly used in air and sea transport, and final clearance. Here, in terms of the types of customs clearance, I will make some references to the shipments from and to Great Britain, because like I mentioned at the beginning, it's one of my specializations. So we do a lot of shipments, especially after Brexit. So all the companies that have the business in Great Britain, they need to get used to Brexit and all the regulations that have been implemented after it. So not only the customs procedure itself, but also GVMS system, creating a goods movement reference. So it also will be mentioned by me during the next stages of this webinar. Okay, so let's go with the types of customs clearance, starting with the T1, so the transit procedure. As you can see, the case study will be here with the transport from Great Britain with delivery to Germany. So obviously we have loading process, okay, where we load the cargo, then we get the documentation. So invoice, packing list, CMR, all the additional documents that are required. And then we need to apply for the customs clear for the export clearance. So we need to get the export entry, and here we have to. At least in our case, we have two ways of arranging. Either the customer is providing the export declaration, or we, as a freight forwarding company, are obliged to take care of it. So we got the export entry with the MRN number, and then in terms of the shipment from Great Britain to another to European country, we need to create the GMR, so the goods movement reference via GVMS system that has been implemented after the Brexit. And then we go. Then we apply for the T1. Okay, let's go back for a little bit to the previous slide. Sorry. So we have export entry. We have good movement reference, and then we apply for the T1 document. So based on invoice and also based on export declaration, then we apply for the T1. There is no way to apply for the T1 without export declaration. Export entry is a crucial one, along with the invoice, to start the T1 procedure. Obviously, we get the T1 in case of the Great Britain. We get the T1 from the inland border facility or any other place indicated by your customer or the agent, and then we go to the port of departure. So most likely we have Dover or Folkestone, depending which type of crossing you use. And then we have the crossing. After crossing, if you have the T1 document, as in this case, we go to the customs agency that will be closing the T1 procedure and finalizing the import customs clearance, allowing the goods to be delivered to the final destination, to the buyer. Obviously, there might appear some additional information to be provided to the customs agent. Different customs agent might have some different questions, different requirements. For example, in the case of Germany, and the agents in Germany will to have ATA number to finalize the import customs clearance. So, to put it briefly, we need to, if we transport the goods from Great Britain to European Union with the use of T1. So we need to have the export document, then the T1 document, which needs to be cleared either at the customs agency, or sometimes it happens and that the final receiver clears and closes the T1 on its own. So we simply deliver the goods together with T1, and then the buyer, the final destination, is taking care of closure of T1 document. Okay, so now let's go and see the examples of export entry as well as transit document. So first of all, I would like to start with the export entry. So as you can see, some people say it's very similar to the CMR document. Obviously, it has some similar bits, but there are some different informations also included in the export entry. So obviously, we have the exporter and the consignee details. So as in the case, these are the details that you should get on the invoice. Yeah. So the full trading name, address, EORI number, VAT number. Then on the right side, you see the barcode and the MRN number. So in terms, we are in 2023, so it starts with 23, then the country of origin, so in this case GB, because it was the shipment from Great Britain. If it would be the shipment from Poland, it will be 23 PL. If from Netherlands, it will be 23 NL. So it starts with the year we're currently in, and then the shortcut of the country in which it has been raised, and then the rest of the numbers. Then we have type of the declaration, so it's EX, so export entry. Then we have then I would like to talk about some crucial elements. I will not talk about all fields of the export entry. I just would like to talk about the most necessary ones. So you see the number of packages, which in this case is one. Then we have the direction below, so it's Great Britain to Germany, yeah. And now we have the gross weight, which in this case I believe was 8. And now I would like to make the reference to the weights. Let's look at the right bottom part of this document, where you have two eights, one below another. So we have two eights. So in this case, as far as I remember, there was no gross weight mentioned at all at the invoice. So we just have the information that we have one package with a total weight of 8 kilograms. So these 8 kilograms were declared as the net and as the gross weight of the cargo. Then on the left side on this document, we have the full definition of the cargo, full description of the cargo. Full description of the cargo, stating the commodity code, as well as the full trading full name. And these are the most crucial elements of the export entry. So the sender details, the consignee details, as well as how many packages we have, direction, the relation of this export entry, gross and net weights, and full description of cargo. Obviously, I have mentioned one in previous slides. I've mentioned about the statistical value that is put next to the weights at the right bottom of this document. And now, on the basis of this document and as well as the invoice, we can apply for the T1. So let's now look at the T1, how it looks. So it looks very similar to the export entry. It also consists of sender details, consignee details, and the number of packages, the net and gross weights, the full description of cargo. However, it also has the barcode and the MRN number, but this is different MRN number. So it also starts with 23 GB, because we are in this year. We have the cargo, we have the transit from Great Britain to Germany, but it's a different number. The MRN number of the export entry on the T1 are the two different ones. Also, here we have some very important information regarding the points via which we will be going with this cargo, and the point to which we will go with it. They want to close it. So this destination code and CTS code for the customs, where we will close those T1 and finalize the import entry. So in this case, it was shipment from Great Britain to Germany, and the crossing was from Dover to Calais. So in this case, we need to look at three actually very important fields. So we have information from which port we will be leaving. So in this case, Dover, which is, I believe, GB 00060, to Calais, so FR 620001, and the final destination code. So it is field 53, where we have the NCTS for the customs agency in Germany that will be closing this T1 and finalizing the import customs. Obviously, we have also, like I mentioned, the information about the cargo. So this is exactly the same which has been put on the export entry. So the same description, the same weights, as it simply needs to correspond between each order. Obviously, you might have some bulk shipments when you will have like two or even three export entries. However, you will raise only one T1 because it will be the same seller, the same buyer, the same destination code, the same route. So sometimes on the T1 we have we have all of this information, all of the packages and the weights sum up from all the export entries that we need to put to this T1. Um, these are the most important aspects that you should look for on the export entry and on the T1 once you will receive it from the agency, and if you would like to check whether everything is in order. I see now. Sorry, I have not mentioned one important thing. Obviously, we have the plate number of the T1 of the vehicle that will be transporting these goods. Okay, I think that's what's regarding those examples of the invoice, export entry, as well as T1. So now let's go further. Let's go now talk about T2L. So the transit document T2, which, as I mentioned, is mainly used for the air and sea transport. However, in road transport, we in our case, we did a few shipments in a recent months with the use of T2. And let's talk about this case study. So the customer orders transport on the route from Germany to Italy, but via Switzerland. So simply, we have the goods that, let's say, belong to European Union. Okay, so we have the goods that are from Germany and that they have been sold to Italy. So there is no need for customs within the European Union. However, the customer requires, from any other issues, the cargo needs to go via Switzerland, which is not in European Union. Which we are changing the customs areas, yeah, because we are in the customs area of European Union, and then we need to go via the Swiss customs area. So we are changing the customs territories. And this is why we need to raise the T2 document. That will be, let's say, imagine we are going from, I don't know, Frankfurt, and we are going to Torino, yeah. So we can go with these goods to the German and Swiss border at Wallenrhein Basel, raise the T2 there, and then, for example, close it and at the border between in Como between Switzerland and Italy. So we just need those T2 form for this part of Switzerland. Will be going with the European goods via the Swiss customs territories. It's only in this case we are using this T2 in a road transport, at least in our case, because, like I said at the beginning, it's this whole knowledge I would like to present here is based on our experience and on the transport that we have done in the past. Uh, Long story short, I'm not going to talk more about this T2. It was just to mention that such type of customs exist, and in which case it can be used in a road transport. Last but not least, let's talk about the final clearance. Here, I would like to talk about the two case studies. One is presented in this presentation. The other one will be just briefly presented by me. So we have the case study where the customer orders the transport from Poland to UK. So in this case, we do not need T1 document. We just need to have export declaration and import declaration. And now I'm going to briefly discuss how it is. So we have the loading in Poland, then we prepare the export declaration, export entry. On the basis, obviously, of the invoice and this export declaration, we need to prepare the import declaration, pre-import declaration, which allows us to generate goods movement reference via the GVMS system, and then allow us to cross from France to Great Britain. So for this part of between Poland and the port of Calais, we just go with the export declaration. No need of T1 in this case. So we load the cargo, We apply for the export document. We got the export document. We start the customs procedure with the import clearance. We got the import declaration from the customer or from the agent, depending who is responsible to do this customs clearance. Then we create goods movement reference, and then we can start crossing. Obviously, during crossing, we as the transport company are obliged to check the status of this clearance. So if the status, we can have either status okay or status not okay. If status is okay and the import is finalized during the crossing, then we are okay to deliver the goods to the final destination and unload the goods. However, if status is not okay, then we need to present ourselves to the nearest inner border facility, which in this case probably will be the one in Samington in Oxford. Then we need to clear all the things that might cause the status red, so not okay. Then if we make everything clear, we can deliver the goods to the final place in Great Britain. But I just would like to present the types that we do not need the T1, but we need the import customs clearance to be done before the delivery. The same thing might appear in terms of the shipments from, let's say, Poland to Switzerland. When we load the goods in Poland, then we do the export entry. We go with this export entry Poland, Germany. Yeah, we arrive to the German-Swiss border, and then we need to apply for the import customs clearance just at the border. So we go to the agent at the border, we finalize the import clearance, and then the goods are allowed to enter the Switzerland territory as a cleared one. Then we can deliver the goods to final destination. Obviously, we can do this shipment either this one from Poland to Great Britain or from Poland to Switzerland with the export entry and T1. Then obviously we can cross with the T1 from Calais to Dover, from France to Great Britain, or cross the border between Germany and Switzerland and enter the Switzerland or enter the Great Britain with this T1. But then we need to present to the agent that will close the T1 and finalize import clearance before we deliver the goods. Obviously, if the final import is done at the delivery place, it's okay. We just cross via the border and then go to the delivery, leave the T1 there, wait until the customs clearance is finalized, and then we can leave. But if we need to make an additional stop to the agent in order to close the T1, we need to obligatorily follow these instructions to finalize the import, and only then, as a cleared goods, we can deliver the goods to the customer. So these are the types of the clearances. So you have the T1 procedure, T2 procedure, and the final import procedure. I hope that I expressed myself clearly and everything is clear. If not, just leave us some comments and then I will try to elaborate on it more. Let's now go to talk about the EORI number. As mentioned at the beginning of my presentation, EORI is the EU system for identifying and registering economic operators engaged in international trade. So simply, if you would like to do any trading between two countries, you need to possess the EORI number. They are created differently in different countries. For example, in Poland, we have the VAT number, and then we added 5 0 digits to this number, and obviously we have the PL at the beginning. In terms of Great Britain, as far as I know, we have the VAT number with the GB at the beginning and 3 0 digits added to its VAT. Obviously, we need to check whether the EORI is valid or not. There are different checkers, either European sites or for the British EORIs, you can go to the British government site and check there whether the EORI is valid or not. If EORI is not valid, or the trader seller does not possess EORI number because we need to apply for it, then you cannot do any customs clearances for these parties. I will not talk any more about this. I'll just give you like 10 15 seconds to look at this slide, to read it, and hopefully all is clear. And this is the part where I would like to finish my presentation, my webinar. I hope that everything was presented clearly, that the presented knowledge will help you in your future customs. If we talk too fast or my pronunciation was not clear enough, I'm really sorry, but I still hope that you will get some knowledge for yourself and that it will be helpful in your future transport. Thank you very much for the attention. It was a real pleasure for me. One more time, thank you very much and goodbye.